there, Steve here in Sydney. I'll be laying nose this website, truebluehealer.com. Today I'm going to talk about a wonderful YouTube channel. It's called American Intelligence Media, and it's got a very distinguished person in it. It's someone that's sort of in the eye of the hurricane and has been there for 18 years. And his name is, got to get this right, it's Mr. Michael McKibben. Okay, on screen for you there. Michael McKibben is a patent holder, and his patent was stolen by the US federal government and freely handed out to all the social media giants. And the social media giants depend utterly on this patented software, which means that all the great fortunes and power amassed by the aggregated social media is really all the proceeds of crime, as far as I can tell in my layman's situation. Anyway, Mr. Michael McKibben has some modest demands. He wants payment, and he wants to get some compensation for it. He's got his own company, of course, and he's got a bunch of angry investors behind him, and there's a lawsuit going under something called the Miller Act. The Miller Act says it's not like a criminal thing. It's really supplying an invoice to a government saying, hey, you never paid me 18 years ago for all the work I did for you. The Miller Act is specifically for that. But what he's saying is he's going to stop people using it somehow and force the ultra surveillance media out of business and replace it with some kind of actual news service media that's more friendly and oriented toward news, which is an amazing concept, isn't it? Imagine that. So he's not a malicious man, that sort of thing. He's only taking a civil action to recover large funds lost that are owed to him because of the misuse of his stolen patent handed out by the federal government to all the tech media giants such as YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. 18 years he's been waiting for this. Trump is aware of it. Trump's already enacting apparently antitrust breakup laws against all these tech giants to break them up into smaller companies. But I think they're going to end up, most likely being, this is my speculation, just mere phone companies, and there's going to be penalties if you start jiggering about with what someone says or what they didn't say, or they don't think this is within community guidelines. All that's going to be abolished, I would say. It's the only way to make social media work, because social media has become an ill, you see, a malady affecting society, and it's of the totalitarian variety that we do not want our future to become narrower and narrower and more totalitarian. Now, before I let you watch this video, it's a very short video, by the way, just a few minutes, but it's very coherent, very succinct. I'll just tell you, the Dr. McKibben, did I get that right? Yeah, Michael McKibben, he's greatly concerned about the surveillance society and the totalitarian nature of it. And what brought this to my attention was that I found I was being surveilled in a car park, for goodness sake, at McDonald's. Just the other day, I met someone for 30 seconds. She invited me to join a book club, and I went home 3 hours later, and there's advertisements in my email from a number of book suppliers, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, a couple of other ones I can't remember. But I was astonished. I was absolutely astonished that Google would say, we know what you are talking about. We know why you met that lady in the car park. It was a 30-second hello, goodbye thing. So I don't know whether they're listening to my conversation with the phone being put on or what. I'm not sure about that, but it's gone way too far. Previous to that, my attention had been brought to the fact that when I bought beans from the local supermarket, they were uploading my grocery list all the way up to Google. So I'd get home and there'd be YouTube videos about beans. So this is a sick kind of stalking just to sell me things. And obviously it's leading to a place of misuse, weaponization, because they're going to be able to say, we know who you're talking to. We know who you associate with. We know the whole ring of people, the dissident people you talk to. And we're going to cut off your electricity, that sort of thing. We're going to cut off your phone service. We might even get you sacked. That's the way social media has been going, but it's coming to an end. There's more than light at the end of the tunnel. There's this wonderful lawsuit run by the, what's it called again? Let me get this right. Media Technologies. The man's name is Michael McKibben, and he's taken the federal government to court for previous administrations. 3 of them actually stole his technology and used it to set up social media giants, and he wants some money back for a start. So do his loyal following of investors. So without further ado, I will present to you here this wonderful video I found at American Intelligence Media, and I suggest you subscribe to this channel and listen to whatever they tell you every day, because he's in pole position, this Mr. Michael McKibben, pole position to know what's going on with regards to the fate of the tech giants, and they seem to be coming for an almighty crash to earth very soon. Layman's, it seems to be dovetailing, layman's attitude, layman's perspective suggests it dovetails nicely with Donald Trump's corruption and money laundering thing and proceeds of crime that he implemented in the executive order of December 28, where if you're caught, you are suspected of laundering money, human trafficking, that sort of thing, all your assets can be seized. So that could be happening. It could be in the pipeline. That could be happening to Google, YouTube, anyone that Donald Trump doesn't like. And there's a lot of that, isn't there? So without further ado, here's this wonderful video from American Intelligence Media. I commend it to you.
Welcome to the American Intelligence Media. My name is Douglas Gabriel, Thomas Paine, and I'm with Michael McKibben today because we have answered a question that so many people have asked us, and we've done something about it. Today, Michael's here to tell us about it. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, great to be with you.
Now, we can't really blame this one on you, though we can blame a lot of stuff on you. These are the people who support Leader Technologies. Of course, you are the founder, CEO, and everything else of Leader Technologies. So what we're saying is we are supporting you, and in this political season, we want to get a one-page executive summary into the hands of every politician and right up to the White House, making sure that the president knows that if he simply signs a check for something called the Miller Act, that he can start the dominoes falling that will take out Silicon Valley and pay Leader Technology for what was stolen from them, their trade secrets, which became scalable social networking on the internet, and many, many, many other aspects of what we have in our digital world today. So this letter is a one-page executive summary, and what we're doing is, your friends did this for you because we want to give a tool into the hands of so many people who have said, we want to help Michael McKibben, we want to help Leader Technologies, and we want the end of surveillance on the internet and the weaponization of it. What can we do? So it's been summarized by, I think, some of your shareholders and many other people, your story into one page. And what it does is it emphasizes the fact that if the president would simply write a check acknowledging that he owes Leader Technologies for the use of their trade secrets, which are being used in the government right now, not only just through all these corporations, but in the government right now, they owe you money. The second that they pay you, it starts the ball rolling. So I'm so glad this was done, especially in this political season, as we are moving towards a midterm when we must really stop the kind of surveillance and election manipulation that you and your researchers, including people from Leader Technologies, have been revealing nonstop now for the last, 6 months to a year. So can you tell us about the Miller Act and why that is so important, and what this one-page summary might be able to do for what it is that you're trying to basically win as your case of theft of your own trade secrets?
Well, it's a great piece. We really appreciate the support and effort that's coming our way from many quarters, and we really appreciate the efforts that you and Tyler have given to supporting us. So that's from the heart. We really appreciate it. And our shareholders are a very bright group of people who are obviously interested in getting paid for the investment that they made in our company. But at the same time, they're also loyal patriots of our country, and they are wanting to see what they can do to help solve some of these endemic problems that we're seeing emerge left and right in our mainstream media right now. And so the Miller Act notice is a specific law that allows people who have provided a service of any kind to the federal government but have not been paid. It allows them to put a notice or a lien, as it were, on the particular agency that took their property without compensation, and put a notice to them and ask them to be paid. And that's what this is, and it's actually two levels. The company has made a request, as have the individual shareholders. So the president has been receiving numerous claims on this Miller Act request with the idea that we want to be paid. We want to be paid for the 18 years that the federal government, through the executive branch, starting with Bill Clinton, began distributing our software to the entire intellectual property community, as it were. The entire, pretty much anybody that's using any kind of social technology today is using our inventions. And so we have said, okay, government, you were the one that distributed our code illegally, so now pay us for that, including all the compensation for all the third parties that you gave it to, all the commercial companies you gave it to, and we want to be paid for that. We want to be paid for 18 years of that theft. And then going forward, we want to provide a license to all these people so they can get legal with their use of our technology as we go forward. So there is a payment element, but then our shareholders wanted to get creative and say, well, how can we also assist our government, our republic, to restore some of the legal positions that have been lost? And specifically, we're looking at the mainstream media, because it's pretty evident now that that mainstream media is completely lost and has been horribly corrupted by these same people that stole our technology. And so what I am proposing, and it looks like a number of our shareholders want to participate in that, in fact, they've told me they have, is I'm willing to use the bulk of the money that's owed me from this theft to roll that back into the establishment of a true free press that is no longer beholden or slave to the corporate interests, which have completely hijacked our mainstream media and are essentially pumping out lies these days. And so that's kind of the basis for the Miller Act notice. And as it turns out, because it was the Clinton White House and then the Bush White House and then the Obama White House that pressed this agenda and are responsible for it, it is the executive branch that becomes the branch of government that is obligated to pay us back. And hence the Miller Act notice has gone to President Trump, even though he was not obviously involved in this. The law requires us to go to the executive branch with the claim, and that's what we have done.
And actually your claim is rather reasonable in terms of the amounts, considering that the IBM Eclipse Foundation fed your trade secrets directly to Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, PayPal, Microsoft, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, IBM. I mean, who didn't get a piece of your pie? And what I would like to see happen is that not only when President Trump signs this Miller Act and it starts the ball rolling, it's going to indicate that this is racketeering and this was antitrust, and it was in fact an attack upon our patent system. And when you and us and the investigators looked at the patent system, we found that it had been completely sold out. And those.
Can I make a point on that? The Miller Act notice has nothing to do with racketeering or any kind of criminal actions specifically. And I know you like talking about that element of it, and it's certainly evident that all those things occurred. But this Miller Act notice is specifically about getting paid for the theft of our technology and the benefit that the government and its crony fascist corporate partners receive from it. That's the main reason that Miller Act notice is given. All the other things that come out of it, like you're talking about now, would potentially be other results, but they're not specifically part of the Miller Act. I just want to make that clear.
You know how excited I get imagining the cabal meeting their just desserts. I get really excited about that. But yes, you're right. You just need to be paid and move forward. And the great thing is in your plan is a replacement system. And we're talking about replacing the companies who basically dominate our stock market and dominate our economy right now.
Right.
And it is a fake dominance based upon surveillance and the weaponization of what should have been.
And founded on theft.
And absolutely founded on the theft of your IP, on all your work, and then the terrible suffering you've had to go through for, what is it now, 17 or 20 years? And
18 years.
18 years of trying to fight the government itself to get back what was rightfully yours, and that you actually demonstrated and had a contract with the government, and you came through on that and showed them that you certainly did have the technology, you had the copyrights, the patents, you had the code, you had all that it took, and it was stolen by James Chandler, who was directly working.
Let me make a point here too, because I think some people know that we sued Facebook in 2008 on one of our patents, and we have multiple patents on this information. But the actual innovations were in the form of trade secrets when they were actually stolen, way back in 2000, 2001, 2002. So what we're talking about is the theft of trade secrets, which is one of the hot topics that President Trump is often talking about the theft of trade secrets in America by innovators who, when they can't be rewarded for their significant effort to invent. Invention is hard. Stealing is easy. And so I totally agree with what the president is saying about we've got to stop the theft of our trade secrets, and that's exactly what occurred here. So the trade secrets were stolen at least 8 years before we ever got a patent.
And that in itself is a crime. And if they follow it back to its source, they'll find many more crimes that have then been perpetuated ad nauseum, to the point that what we think is a system that was supposed to create freedom of information created a war in information. And now the freedom of speech has been put on the line. So if we could get the reestablishment of what you initially imagined the internet could be and social networking could be, we could leave many, many, many problems behind. And that's the great optimistic statement of what this one-page executive summary can do by pushing it up the line so every single politician, anyone in power, finds out about this and moves it to the direction of completion, because it
right.
could be...
We've got to take our technology infrastructure and establish it on the Bill of Rights. What we have now is a technology infrastructure that's established on greed and lust for power. And clearly that is who is driving this. So we've got the technology's good. It can be used for good or ill. A big question is who's driving it. Right now, we've got a lot of I'm going to say it. We've got a lot of evil people driving it right now, and the fruit of that evil is becoming more and more apparent as people get more savvy about what's going on, which is a good thing.
And the research that we've been doing together has revealed the depth and width and height of this cabal, this digital totalitarian cabal, that even at this moment is creating social credits for us as we're using our devices, or as you're listening, or as you're using your phone. We are moving towards a digital totalitarianism that, if it isn't stopped now in its tracks, we will become what China is becoming underneath the guise of the totalitarian Xi, with the help of Eric Schmidt, because their program Dragonfly is what is being basically laid over all of the what should have been technological innovations that you brought forward, and now have become actually technological weapons. So
right.
We just have to encourage people to get this letter out, to get the executive summary into the right hands, and in this political time, make sure that people understand there are ways to defeat what seems to be an undefeatable onslaught against our freedom of speech in these realms. And Michael, you've been on the front line for so long, and the research that we've been doing with you and seeing in the research that you did long before we ever came along is just amazing. People just need to see the timeline of evil that the Americans for Innovation, who you work with, have created, and you will see the indictable evidence. So we're not talking about pie-in-the-sky conspiracies. We are talking about the fact that you took this all the way to the Supreme Court. And if there was any justice in the system instead of fake justice system, you would have won, and many of these things could have been turned around some time ago. So people, get out, spread the news about leader technology, spread the news about the Miller Act, and let's get President Trump to again use the U.S. Treasury to take down his enemies. Michael, any final words on this new effort that Betsy and her team have put forward and to promote leader technologies?
Well, it's very gratifying to see the support that's coming our way, and on behalf of all of our shareholders, which are hundreds of very hardworking people who invested real risk capital, and we built a real software platform, unlike Mr. Zuckerberg, who claims to have done it in a week and a half. You know, when you look back at that, you begin to realize how ludicrous that claim was, but how nobody, especially in the mainstream media, ever questioned it. So what we do is we really appreciate all the support that's coming our way, and we thank everyone for being involved. And so what we want to do is together help reestablish the Bill of Rights with the cash that will come out of the Miller Act payment. And that's what we're asking President Trump to do right now.
Again, you continue in your noble cause. Thanks for talking with us today. We're going to get this out everywhere we can and push it up the line until we get that Miller Act signed. Thanks again, Michael.
Thank you very much.